Hi there, welcome back to the channel. I've got a fun one for you today. I've got Flash Hulk. So this is a degenerate combo deck that's kind of lived in Highlander infamy for a while, and I'll talk a bit about that during the deck tech. Just as a quick heads up, I do have a cat on my desk currently who might pop up at any time and disrupt the deck tech. I'm just gonna roll with it because keeping him out of the room is pointless. So he's flopped here. He might pop up. So do not be alarmed if you see a tiny cat pop up at some. Well, he's a large cat. If you see a large cat pop up at some point, it's just champion, and he's a diva. So we do what we can to work with him. So this is Flash Hulk. Like I mentioned, Flash Hulk is kind of an infamous deck in Highlander history. There have been times where the cards Flash plus Hulk have been the whole points that you could play in your deck. I think before I was playing, there was even a short time where Flash and Hulk were pointed in a way where you weren't allowed to have them both in your deck. So this is a deck where, especially in the earlier days of Highlander, it really was the boogeyman. And there's kind of a joke in the community. There's a cycle with Flash Hulk where Flash Hulk is really good. Everyone gets frustrated by Flash Hulk. Flash Hulk gets points put on it, either through Flash and Hulk getting points, or through some of the tutors that the deck gets to play getting points. And then it gets bad, or people stop playing it because they perceive it as bad. And then maybe a year or 2 years goes by, some stuff comes off the points list. People say, oh, maybe Hulk could go down one, maybe Flash could come down one. No one's playing it. And then all of a sudden, boof, Flash pops up again, and Flash Hulk is scary again. So it is my opinion that in the current points state, Flash Hulk is probably at a kind of scary broken point. And what makes me say that is that currently your points are Flash and Demonic Tutor. Now, you can also play Mystical plus Vamp. I've seen people do that. You can also play Mystical plus Imperial Seal plus another point of your choosing, Intuition or Gifts, for example. I've seen people do that. I think all three of those point spreads are totally valid, whatever you want to do. With Flash Hulk, it's less about the points that you get to play and more about cards that end up off the points list and end up being free. So, what is free now? Hulk came off the list pretty recently. Spellseeker came off the list just now, which this card is very powerful in Flash Hulk, and I'll talk a little bit about what I'm doing to make it even more powerful in a second. Survival of the Fittest came off the points list as well, and even though this deck is only on 15 creatures, I still think this card is good enough just because finding Hulk is that important. Um, and additionally, there's been some flash cards printed in the last little bit that haven't been pointed. So solve the equation. This just reads go get flash, which is obviously very powerful. Analyze the pollen. This is a little bit more conditional, but this reads go get Hulk. And Hulk has historically been the harder part of the combo to tutor for. So that's pretty big. It's gained some points. Pillage the Bog, I guess, is the other one. This isn't quite a tutor, but this is very good at finding you a tutor or finding one of the pieces somehow. So there's been kind of like a couple of cards printed, a couple of cards have fallen off the points list. Flash has come down a point. Protean Hulk has come off the list entirely, and I think we are now at the point where Flash Hulk might be broken again. The other reason I would say that is that Hulk used to have to play a pretty convoluted, like 5 or 6 card line to win the game, where you would get Hulk, you would sack it, you would get Karmic Guide plus Viscera Seer. The Karmic Guide would get back Hulk, and then you would get like Mog Fanatic and Body Double, and then you would have to go get Revel Arc and do like a Revel Arc loop with all those cards. It was clunky, and if you drew any of the pieces, it would actually disrupt your ability to go off. And somewhat recently, this is less recent now, obviously, Samwise Gamgee and Cauldron Familiar were printed. These both printed in like the last 2 or 3 years. And this now makes your combo really clean. Your combo just gets to be Sam, Cauldron Familiar, and Viscera Seer. So this is what this does is Sam, whenever a creature comes into play, you make a food. Cauldron Familiar, sack of food, and bring it back from the graveyard. Everyone, you gain a life, your opponent loses a life, and Viscera Seer is your sack outlet. So these 3 cards together read make infinite food, gain infinite life, drain your opponent infinitely. And you'll note they actually only cost 4 mana. So you could even, with a Hulk trigger, get Grand Abolisher plus these 3 cards, which, if you're doing it on your own turn, means post flash, more or less the game is over. You're winning. Um, and this is a much, much, much tighter package than it was previously. Only needing 3 cards, and the Cauldron Familiar you can actually play and let it die in some matchups. Like, as long as they don't have a lot of ways to exile things out of your graveyard, like, you can just cast this, let it chump block, and leave it in your graveyard. It doesn't need to be in play for you to win the game. So that's a big upgrade for Flash as well. That's less recent, but that's another reason why I think Flash is on the up and up. So what else are we doing in this deck? Well, Flash Hulk needs to play basically every tutor it can that finds Flash or a Hulk. So we've got a smattering of those: Profane Tutor, Summoner's Pact, Analyze the Pollen. We have, in my case, I've got Demonic Tutor, Shred Memory, and Muddle the Mixture. These are fun ones where these are transmuting for Flash, so these are actually uncounterable. We also have Eladamri's Call to find Hulk. We've got Fierce Empath to find Hulk. We've got some real stinkers like Rhystic Tutor. This is a card that I wouldn't advocate playing in basically any other deck other than Flash Hulk, but it is good in this deck, I think, because you just want tutors that badly. We've got Grim Tutor. We've got Solve the Equation, and we have Spellseeker. Now, Spellseeker is interesting. It can just get Flash, or it can get Eladamri's Call. So it can find either half of the combo. The Eladamri's Call half, obviously, it's a little bit slower. What I've done is I added Ephemerate to the deck. So this is a blank, mostly, but it's very good with exactly Spellseeker. You will sometimes, in Flash Hulk games, end up in these kind of low resource positions because the deck plays a decent number of counter spells and discard spells. It actually is more interactive than it looks. And so you'll end up in a situation where you maybe are a bit low on resources and Spellseeker is your only way to combo. And by having Ephemerate in your deck, what you can do on 4 mana is go play Spellseeker, get Ephemerate, Ephemerate Spellseeker. When it re-enters, fetch Flash, and then on your upkeep, the Ephemerate will flicker the Spellseeker again, and you can get Eladamri's Call, and you can go call for Hulk, Flash Hulk, and kill them. So yeah, Spellseeker coming off the list, I think is pretty big. This card at this point is just a 1-card combo. Obviously, like, there's points at which they can interact with it with removal, but depending on what's going on and how you sequence it, you can play around the removal pretty well as well. So yeah, other things in this deck that are going on. It's got Balance, which is free as well. This is, I think, pretty good in this deck as a way to give you game against the creature decks that are trying to go pretty wide. You're never going to put creatures into play until you're trying to win the game. And then the other things that this has going on is that it plays a decently high number of counterspells. So you've got Force of Will, Misdirection, and then a non-zero number of the 2-mana counterspells: Mana Leak, Lose Focus, actual factual counterspell, Remand, Reprieve. The deck has played more in the past. I've opted for a build with fewer counterspells and a few more removal spells. Some things that I'm doing differently as compared to maybe some of the other lists that you might find online. First, I'm on a bunch of the mana dorks. Not everyone is, but I think particularly any of the dorks that make blue mana, I think are worth playing. So I'm playing Birds, Noble, and I'm playing Deathrite Shaman. Accelerating in this deck is pretty good. You see people playing Chrome Mox and Mox Diamond and Lotus Petal. I'm less of a believer in those cards just because you do kind of need cards in hand with this deck. I don't think that you can just be throwing away an extra land or throwing away an extra card for the Chrome Mox. The Lotus Petal is one I could be persuaded of, but I'm not currently playing it. Other cards that I'm playing that I think are a little different from the average are I'm playing Footsteps of the Goryo, and this is not a card that I've seen in a lot of lists. What this does is it makes it so that if your Hulk gets discarded, you still have a 1-card way to win the game on the spot. Other decks are playing Noxious Revival as a way to get your Hulk back, and I do have Regrowth. I have outs to get the Hulk back if it ends up in the graveyard. But for me personally, I would rather, if they put the Hulk in the graveyard and they don't immediately have a way to exile it, just look to start building a way to find this Footsteps, because this is a kind of 1-card combo that wins the game, because this is just going to put the Hulk into play, sack it, and then you kill him on your end step when it dies. So those are some things that I'm doing differently. By and large, my build is pretty comparable to what other people are doing. Flash Hulk historically has beat up on the well, it's beat up on everything when it's been really good. But one of the reasons why the deck is so frustrating is that it's very good against blue decks because the combo happens at instant speed and you yourself are playing a bunch of discard and counter spells. I remember once in like this is like 10 years ago now, but in like 2014, 2015, I did like kill someone in response to a Vendilion click on turn 3. Like we just played the first 2 turns of the game. I happened to have Flash Hulk naturally in my hand, and on my third turn, they played a Vendilion click on my end step and died in response to playing the Vendilion click. So blue decks definitely have a lot of issues into this deck because the combo is instant speed and it's so cheap, and you play so much interaction. A lot of the fair decks can struggle into this deck as well, just because it's fast. Typically, the two ways that you can beat Flash Hulk are by being fast or by having lock pieces. So cards like Opposition Agent or Thalia, these are cards that are very good into Flash Hulk just because it can delay the tutoring process to find Flash Hulk, or Opposition Agent obviously just blanks the whole combo. So those are the kinds of cards that I think are the biggest risk. But right now, the deck is pretty fast, it's very efficient, and it's going to beat up on the blue decks. It's going to beat up on a lot of the fair decks, which got worse with the points changes. So I think Flash Hulk is actually a really good place to be. So yeah, I played one match in this video. I'm just playing against Jer. He's playing his 4-color creature combo deck. So a pretty interesting matchup. If you want to see more Flash Hulk, let me know. I'm more than happy to play it. I really like this deck, and I think it's really good in the metagame right now. But without further ado, here is some Flash Hulk. Okay, getting into the game here with Jer. Playing some Flash Hulk. I have some insider information. I believe he's playing a 4-color Nadu deck. He said he just wanted to get some testing in against the field, so I figured I'd start with a combo deck. So opening hand here, having the Viscera Seer in hand is pretty awkward because it's basically a blank, and yeah, I think this is a pretty clear mulligan. There's not a really clear way to flash. This gets Hulk on turn 2, but then we're kind of in the question mark part of winning. So let's try again. This Viscera Seer really doesn't want to get out of my hand, but I can put it on the bottom now, which is nice. So I think I will keep this, and I'll just bottom the Viscera Seer. And on turn 1, I'm just going to play Dark Slick Shores and hold up Opt, or maybe Cycle Lorien revealed, probably. This Swords to Plowshares is also like more premium in this matchup than it would be otherwise. I guess the other option is I could play this Bloodstained Mire and use it to get a Surveil land, but I'm not going to do that. I'm just gonna play my land, and I'll probably just cast Opt here. Solve the Equation obviously is already represents Flash in our hand, so we're currently looking for ways to find Hulk. Okay, so Jared's going to Surveil. Searches for green-black. Let's see. Where's the Saga to the Graveyard? Okay, that's interesting. So that either indicates his hand is land heavy, or he already has an enabler for Nadu. And he's just looking for Nadu at this point. Thoughtseize. This is pretty funny. We were having a conversation not that long ago about the power level of Thoughtseize. I'm gonna bottom this land, and I was saying that I felt like, I think when you cast Thoughtseize on turn 1 and 2, it ups your win percent by a pretty substantial margin, and I still feel that way. I'm actually gonna Force a Will this. Reason being, Solve the Equation already represents a path to Flash, and I don't want Jer to know the power level of my hand. I could be wrong, but I like keeping him in the dark. Oh, no land here would be interesting. Yeah, I was going to be a little surprised if there was no land. Okay, Surveils again. Puts Hazel's Brewmaster in the graveyard. Okay, so this is a combo card. It covers combos with Devoted Druid. You can make infinite green if you exile a Devoted Druid with Hazel's Brewmaster. Okay, extraction specialist is a blank, unfortunately, but that's okay. So let me map out the colors I'm going to get here. I think Lorien Revealed is going to fetch blue-green, and then with Bloodstained Mire, I will get white-black. I think that's probably... That gives me 2 blue, a black, 2 black. Yeah, I think that looks good. I'm very unlikely to want to cast multiple white spells in a turn, so... Shuko, yeah, makes sense. That's why he been the Urza Saga. Okay, nothing else. That's good for me. Okay, I want to sequence this correctly. So first things first, we're going to cycle this Lorien Revealed. And I'm just going to get my Tropical Island. And then I will fetch my white-black Surveil land. I always forget the name. Oh, maybe I don't have white-black Surveil. Okay, in that case, we're just going to get Rafine's Tower. Really make the mana as good as possible. Yeah, white-black I think is the only Surveil one of the only Surveils I'm not playing. Okay, well, fourth land is not exactly what I wanted, but here we are. So solve the equation. We are going to go get Flash. Now yield till end of turn. I am a little shields down here, and if Jared puts Nadu in play, it's not great for me, but he has no other creatures. You could put one into play here on end step, technically, I guess, and Nadu with only 2 activations, I mean, it can absolutely still kill you, but it's not a guarantee by any means. And I do have the swords for it if it fizzles, so I feel like this is an okay spot for me. Jared's tanking for like quite a long time, which is interesting. Maybe Eladamri's Call or something here on the end step. Yeah. Yep. Makes sense. So this is going to get Nadu. So I could die pretty easily here, but I didn't really like wasting my turn. This gives me the maximum number of chances to untap and win the game with some kind of tutor that finds Flash. Like if I draw my own Eladamri's Call or something of that ilk. So yeah, I think I'm just on board for this. Now, if Jer goes and finds something like Springheart Nantuko, that's scary because that means that Nadu is probably already in his hand. And then Nantuko drastically increases the chance that you die. One thing that I think is kind of interesting about, well, it's kind of frustrating about Nadu is that you do sort of have to force your opponent to play it out. Like, it's not deterministic, even if it's like 99% deterministic. In Highlander, people are typically winning with Finale of Devastation, which is less of a nightmare to resolve than some of the Nadu loops in Modern were, where you were like sacking lands to Sylvan Safekeeper and then looping them back with Endurance and things like that. At least in this format, there is just a card that just wins the game on the spot. So I don't know. Oh, Opposition Agent. Interesting. Well, that's a little scary. So fetching Oppo Agent means that he doesn't feel like Naduing this turn would be enough to win the game, I guess. This is just main facing it. Yeah, that's fine. So I have the swords for Oppo Agent. If I do find a tutor, but I don't have to run the swords out. Interesting spot. I will just play my extraction specialist here. We're kind of in this weird spot where we're playing like a vaguely fair game of Magic, but I mean, preserving my life total is not irrelevant here. The fact that he went and got Opposition Agent, to me, is indicative that maybe he's planning to play a slightly fairer game, and so I should try to protect my life total a little bit. Or maybe he just also has Nadu, and the Opposition Agent line means that he's going to start with 4 triggers instead of 2. That's possible as well. Okay, yeah, so Survival of the Fittest, so this is a path to Nadu. And I've got to decide what I want to do with this Swords to Plowshares. So I got to look at what the permutations are here. the number of cards that I have in my deck that just put Hulk into my hand, are there any of them that cost 3? There's Fierce Empath, uh, there's Grim Tutor, there's Rhystic Tutor. Yeah, so I am just supposed to fire this off here. I have enough draws that require the 3rd mana that I'm supposed to do it. Okay, well, that's unfortunate. I'm very likely getting Nadu'd here, and it's going to be a bit challenging. Now, fortunately, getting rid of the Oppo agent means that I am going to be maybe a little bit more likely. He's only going to have 2 triggers, but with the survival of the fittest in hand, finding a path to something like Springheart and Antuco is a lot easier. So probably dying this game. Just like didn't find enough ways to kind of like churn through my deck. I don't think. I don't know. Maybe fetching the flash was wrong. I don't think so. One thing that I'm playing in this deck is I do have access to Spellseeker and I have Ephemerate, which can get the whole combo over a couple of turns. Okay, we're main phasing. Interesting. And we're discarding Thassa's Oracle. So that's one win condition there. Okay, yeah. So Illusionist plus Shuko is mill your whole deck, and oh, he just has Unearth. Interesting. Okay, so I'm gonna let this resolve. He puts the trigger on the stack. Oh, and he just has Consult. All right, GG. Well, good game.
Yep. Both teams fought hard.
Yeah, I drew land for my last 3 draw steps, unfortunately.
Yeah. After you had the swords, I was like, okay, so it just doesn't have Hulk or access to Hulk. So
well, yeah. So like the decision there for swordsing Oppo agent is I have I'm gonna untap with 5 mana, and I counted, I think it's 3 or 4 paths to Hulk that require 3 mana before I can cast Flash. So I just figured it was better to have the extra mana, even though it meant I was probably getting Nadu'd on the next turn. But I figured like if you only have just Nadu plus Shuko and no untapped lands, like there's a non-zero chance that I get to untap and try again.
I think you're just like very favored to get to untap.
Yeah, exactly. So I figured I'd give myself the best possible chance to win on my turn. Because yeah, after I drew the 6th land, I was like, oh, this is pretty ugly.
Yeah.
But
Power of survival shown there.
Yeah, survival, very good card. Definitely. Yes. I am dubious about its removal from the points list, but hey, here you are playing it to show why that should be. Maybe it should still be on the points list.
Yeah, I'm just out here playing honest 0-point cards like Spellseeker and Survival of the Fittest. You know?
Yeah, I mean, I'm playing
Eldritch Evolution too.
Yeah,
so many previously 1-pointed cards
that are free now. Yeah. Hey, I've got 2 of those cards in my deck as well, so maybe I should be.
Muddle the Mixture used to be a point. Hermit Druid used to be like 7 out of 7.
Yeah, it was pretty expensive.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Shall we get into game 2?
Let's head in. Good luck.
All right. Hopefully Magic Online didn't crash. Life is good. So I will go first. And this is a pretty clear mulligan here. 5 lands. No clear path to either combo piece. We're definitely just sending this one back and hoping for a better 6. This hand is very similar. I'm more tempted to keep this one just because on 6 you kind of can't mulligan forever, and this at least has some amount of interaction, and like I get to surveil twice. Is surveilling twice better than just mulliganing to 5? I think I'm just gonna keep, and I'm gonna put back. Am I gonna put back Godless Shrine? No, I think I'm just gonna put back Swamp. My life total is not the breakpoint that matters in this matchup. Jarrett's deck is very interested in winning through combo kill, so there's not a lot of games where attacking is going to happen. Okay, remand, sure. I'm down to just try and be annoying for a couple of turns. I think that's actually a perfectly valid way for me to approach this game. Urza Saga. Nice. Okay. That is the kind of start I wanted. Something like Elf would have been a little annoying there just because it would have accelerated him in, but this means that I at least have a couple of turns to interact with things. So I'm just going to play the Gloomlake Verge, and the reason I'm doing this is because I want to hold up the Verdant Catacombs as Revolt for Fatal Push potentially. So I'm not going to fire that off right away. I'm gonna hold on a second because there's only one construct that can come out of this anyway. Oh wow, Jareth's lands are really awkward. Okay, so sucks a bit because I don't get to spend my mana this turn, but I will endure. Profane Tutor. Okay, I'm gonna suspend that next turn, I think. But for now, the way that Jareth has played this game, like playing Urza Saga on one really insinuates that he might have a pretty aggressive draw, and I don't want to just completely tap out in the face of it. Because this land's going to go away here. He doesn't even get a chance to make a construct out of it. And he didn't float a mana, which seems like a misplay. Hermit Druid. Yeah, okay, so I'm just going to remand this one. And see how my hand develops. Viscera Seer was among the worst draws in my deck. Okay, so I have a white source. I'm just going to get another blue-black here. So rather than getting a tri-land, I do want to surveil. So let's get the Undercity Sewers. Surveil, sink into stupor. Sink is kind of interesting, but I just need to start finding a way to win the game, I think. So let's bottom that one. Okay, great. That's a Hulk. So let's shock in this Godless Shrine, and let's suspend Profane Tutor. And now I'm just in try to not die mode. So if Jared goes for Hermit Druid again, I'm just going to reprieve it. If he has a different line, obviously I will try something else. Yeah, okay, so reprieve this. I drew my swords. That's excellent. Okay, so I feel in pretty good shape for this game, to be honest. I have swords to kill the druid or any other potential baddies. Balance, that can go to the graveyard. The only question now is, do I run out the Viscera Seer? Jared doesn't have any white mana on the board. I'm just going to run out the Viscera Seer, I think. And yeah, because what I can actually do is, worst case, I can actually use this Viscera Seer to trigger Fatal Push. I'm not likely to want to do that, but it gives me outs to do it, which is good. Yeah, see, so like, for example, if this is land Nadu, and I go swords, and then he has something in response, I can sack Viscera Seer to itself and then Fatal Push the Nadu. Because, yeah, that may well be what I need. Oh, Thoughtseize. Okay, so he's going to get to take my Hulk. I have a nice line here, though, if he takes Hulk. So my deck is diverges a little bit from a lot of the standard Flash Hulk decks. I'm playing Footsteps of the Goryo, and I'm playing it for exactly this reason. Sometimes your Hulk gets stuck in your hand, and then it gets discarded, and Footsteps allows you to still combo when that happens. And I even have the Viscera Seer in play already, actually. So, yeah. So here's the Druid. I guess I'm just going to kill it. The question is whether I want to swords it or path it, or fatal push it. I guess I'm gonna fatal push it. The swords is just like a more versatile removal spell. There are reanimate cards that make the Hermit Druid scary in the graveyard, but I think I'm just gonna win the game on my turn here. So, okay, so Profane Tutor comes off suspend. We'll cast it without paying its mana cost, assuming it resolves. I don't think Jared plays Force of Will. Maybe he does. I get to go get Footsteps of the Goryo. Drew Sylvan Tutor. That doesn't change anything. So I will cast Footsteps, targeting Flash Hulk. Solitude is a card that could be a little bit annoying, I guess. And now I can sack the Protean Hulk, and yeah, nice. There's the concession. I'll go to sideboard and we'll chat.
Teams fought hard.
Hello. Same thing.
That game was a story of I accidentally clicked Mulligan on my 7-card hand.
Oh
and,
no.
Tilt kept a 6-card hand that was perhaps questionable. But
oh dear. I mean, it looked okay.
Fully.
It cast.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I guess the questionable part was the fact that your mana base.
My lands were Urza Saga Flooded Grove. Yep.
Yep. Slightly
yeah,
awkward.
But, yeah.
Do you like the footsteps of the Goryo tech?
Yeah, it was sweet.
Yeah.
If I had, I guess you had the sack outlet in play. I had swords in my hand, so like if you didn't have the sack outlet and I was in less mana troubles, it could have cost you. But
yeah, well, I think if you had been not tapped out, I might have tutored for something different. Although maybe not. I probably would have just still done that.
Sweet. Yeah. I also think you're supposed to swords the Hermit Druid. By the way.
Okay, yeah, that's interesting. I was thinking about it. The dynamic in my head was if you have something that stops me from comboing, and then you also have a way to animate Hermit Druid, I'm in really bad shape either way. But I guess you're right. If I swords the Hermit Druid, I'm not dead to that. But if I only leave Fatal Push in my hand, I don't have a way to kill Opposition Agent, and I also don't have a way to kill Nadu.
That's fair.
Actually, but that's not true, because I could have sacked the Viscerous here. So yeah, probably was just wrong.
Just because it gives me an option to find Postmortem Lunge and give it haste to
combo right away
to kill you. So
yeah. No, you're probably right.
Yeah, that's all I was thinking, and I had Spellseeker in my hand, so it just gave me like an avenue to win. Whereas like if you swords it, I'm like
like in very rough shape,
a whole nother combo. Whereas like
yeah.
Cool. All right. Let's see
game
who does
3.
Game 3.
Yeah. Jared's exactly right that thus far it has been really like 2 ships passing in the night. Both teams fought hard. Neither game has really featured I mean, there's been interaction. Like these games tend to be like this. Okay, so I've turn 1 Thoughtseize. Muddle the Mixture is a path to getting Flash. Misdirection is probably kind of interesting, as is Sink into the Super. I'm going to keep this. And yeah, I think this is pretty keepable. I have a free counterspell, so the turn that I go for Muddle, I'm not like 100% shields down. Although obviously Misdirection is not as exciting as Force would be in this spot. But I'm really going to be leaning on the power of turn 1 Thoughtseize, and JR's going to 5, so this Thoughtseize could be truly crushing, depending on the texture of the hand that he keeps. Oh. Okay, so Jer has turn 1 Thoughtseize. I am going to misdirect this back to him. He gets to take the worst card from his hand, but yeah, it's better than I think it's better than me losing a card from my hand. So he took his own halfling. Now there's a question of, okay, so solve the equation is perfect. That's my second tutor. So what is my sequencing going to look like? I think that there is an argument for not casting Thoughtseize this turn, and the reason is I know his hand is Tundra, Springheart, Nantuko, so like his hand doesn't cast Springheart, and maybe if I wait an extra turn, I can tag a more important card. Springheart Nantuko is great once he's going off. Oh, don't click through your turn entirely. Hold on. Let's play this Godless Shrine tapped and say go. Yeah, next turn, I think I'm planning to Thoughtseize next turn. If he finds Green Source and plays Springheart, like I'm going to be a little bit annoyed, but it is what it is if that happens. Okay, Flooded Strand is great. Well, it's fine. It cleans up my mana. That's the important thing. So we'll cast Thoughtseize here. Gifts Ungiven and Springheart. I'll take the Gifts Ungiven. The Springheart, like I said, it's just not very high impact um, until he has other things going on. So now there's this question. I think what I'm going to do is muddle the mixture for Flash, and then I will cast Solve the Equation on my next turn, assuming I don't draw anything. Yeah, so let's muddle for Flash. This is the slightly less versatile tutor. So let's hope that his. Oh, no, yeah, actually, I know his last card is Nantuko. Yeah, so we will get Flash, and then I can use Solve the Equation to get Worldly Tutor or Sylvan Tutor on my next turn. Obviously, Jared Mulligan to 5, so this is a tough game from his perspective, but we're just trying to assemble the combo. Okay, so he missed on a land. So we know his hand is Springheart, Nantuko, and a blank. He has a lot of cards here that do nothing. So I am like mildly scared that his card drawn is exactly Opposition Agent. I think that he might have main phased it if he had it, just because he doesn't know what my hand is, and I was tapped out. I think I'm just gonna play Solve the Equation, but to be totally honest, it's actually like maybe one of the few paths to losing the game. If I play Solve and he has the Oppo agent, but I guess the Oppo agent is going to be hard to beat either way. So okay, no Oppo agent. Life is good. I am going to find the options are I could get Analyze the Pollen, which finds Hulk. I could find Hulk right now, or I could just get Worldly Tutor. I think I will get Analyze the Pollen actually. Reason being, it's just like +1 draw step, which is nice. Yeah, This last game ended up being a bit of an unfortunate one. Jared Mulligan to 5, and then just got double thought seized on turns 1 and 3, which obviously is going to make any game hard. So one of the luxuries of playing Flash Hulk is that you are not obligated to go for it. And I will say that I may not just jam. So I have 2 blue sources. I have 2 green sources. I think I'm just going to get the second white source. So I'll get Meticulous Archive here. And Surveil. Swords to Plowshares. That beats any potential opposition agents. So yeah, I'll leave that one on top. And I'll play my land. We'll analyze the pollen, cast with additional cost. Exile these 2. I don't know how much in the way of counterspells Jared might be playing. I kind of don't think it's very much. So yeah, okay, he has conceded. Excellent. Unfortunate.
Yeah, not ideal.
The
I
old
think you're supposed to analyze the turn you solve the equation, though.
just in case you draw opposition agent. So
yeah, you just give me a free draw step to hit it.
Well, but the thing is, if you find opposition agent, it's bad for me anyway, and I would actually rather have you oppo agent the solve than the
analyze the pollen than
the analyze the pollen than the Hulk. Although it's bad no matter how you slice it, to be honest, because if you oppo agent the analyze the pollen, you can just exile my Hulk forever. Which is like pretty awkward. Then I have to like naturally find my combos. The only way to win the game.
Yeah.
Pretty challenging. But yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe I'm supposed to just main phase it. I wanted to get another surveil, and to try and find interaction for a potential opposition agent. just because I figured it was like the only real axis of interaction you had left.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Maul to
Pretty much.
5
I was
there
close, but
into get your Thoughtseize misdirected is pretty
yeah,
rough. But like,
not ideal.
yeah, not ideal for sure. Yeah, these kinds of matchups I feel like are kind of like two ships passing in the night e. Like,
Yeah, we have like loose interaction, but not especially meaningful.
like I have more than you do. It's actually why I think Flash Hulk is pretty good in the meta right now. Like even if you are playing into these other kind of like creature combo decks and other combo decks, like I've always liked playing Flash Hulk into the like kind of like control combo meta. Um, but yeah, it's definitely weird, right? Because like sometimes you have like game one where you just have like, you know, thing you have to answer, thing you have to answer, thing you have to answer, and I'm sitting here being like, wait, but I want a tutor for my combo pieces. Why why do I have to keep trying to play control? And then
Yeah.
I eventually run out of answers, and I haven't had any time to tutor, so I just die.
Yeah.
And like obviously you had some mulligan variants there at the end too.
Yeah, that happens.
Yeah. All right, cool. Well, this
Yeah.
was a fun
Thanks for the
set.
game. Thanks for the
Yeah.
match. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good to showcase both of these decks.
Yeah, it's good to kind of get a full scale sweep of what the metagame might look like.
Yeah. All right.
We'll see you
We'll
in the next
see
one.
you in the next one.